Welcome back. In this quick tip, we would look at an important concept in Python, or for that matter, any programming language. It's called assignment. So what we did in the previous videos is we created variables. We said I is equal to 5. So what we are doing in here is defining a variable called I, and also we are making it refer to a value of 5. The thing is, you can create other variables using whatever value I is referring to. So I can say j is equal to I. What would happen? J would start referring to the same value that I is referring to. This statement is called assignment. What is happening in here is I is referring to a value of 5. So what would happen here is j would also start referring to a value of 5. So if I say j would print a value of 5. If I say j is equal to 2 into I, what would happen? If I say j, what is the value that is printed? 10. So now j is referring to a value of 10. The important thing to understand is the fact that this is different from mathematics. In mathematics, typically when I say j is equal to I, what would happen? It means j and I are equal. That's not how it would work in programming languages. When you execute a statement of this kind, what happens is the expression is evaluated. The expression on the right hand side is evaluated. What is the current value that I is referring to? It's referring to 5. What happens is 2 into 5 is evaluated and j would start referring to that value. So instead of referring to the earlier value, j would now start referring to the new value, 2 into I. If I say j is equal to 3 into I, what would happen? 3 into I is calculated and j would start referring to that value. So if I print the value of j now, it would show 15. The important thing to understand is when you are doing assignment, what happens is the expression on the right hand side gets evaluated and the left hand side variable would start referring to that value. Is this a valid statement? 5 is equal to j. Can I use a constant on the left hand side? The answer is no. It says can't assign to a literal. 5 is a literal. It's something which is a constant value. Always, whatever you do on the left hand side statement of an assignment should be a variable. So I can say j is equal to 10. Then the value 10 is what is being referred to by j. Now let's create a couple of variables. Num1 is equal to 5, num2 is equal to 3. Now I would want to add these and create a variable. How do I do that? You can pause the video in here and try to do that. So what I would want to do is I would want to add these two and create a variable. Let's say the name of the variable should be sum. How do you do that? The way you can do that is by saying sum is equal to num1 plus num2. What would be the value that would be referred to by sum? It's referring to a value of 8. Now you can pause the video in here and as an exercise you can create 3 variables a, b and c. Assign a value of 5 to a, 6 to b and 7 to c. And what you need to do is to create a variable called sum containing the sum of all these 3 variables. Okay, I hope you had got a chance to do that. So a is equal to 5, b is equal to 6, c is equal to 7. Now how do I calculate the sum? Sum is equal to a plus b plus c. Isn't it very easy? Now let's see what is the value that is referred to by sum. It's 18. That's the sum of a, b and c. Now one of the important things about variables is the fact that you can start using variables inside our print statements, right? So we wanted to print, let's say I would want to print 5 plus 6 plus 7 is equal to 18. We can start using the variables to print them. So we can use the format 0, 1, and I can say 2, and here I can say 3, and I can use the A, B, C, comma, sum. So this is 0, 1, 2, and 3. You can see what would be printed. Oops, this is not the way it is, right? So I would need to actually use the format function. So dot format, oops, dot format, and okay, so now it prints 5 plus 6 plus 7 is equal to 18. In this quick tip, we learned how assignment statement works. What happens behind the screens of an assignment is, if a variable by that name exists, then the value it refers to gets updated. So if you look at num1 right now, it's having a value of 5, and if I say num1 is equal to 10, what would happen is num1 would start referring to a value of 10. The other thing which could also happen is the variable might not exist. So let's say number 1. So if there is nothing with number 1, you can see that number 1 is not defined, and when I say number 1 is equal to 15, what would happen is two things. One is number 1 is defined, so number 1 variable will be defined and it would be referring to a value of 15. So if I print number 1 now, what would be printed? 15. So assignment actually does multiple things. If the variable is already defined, it would change the value it is referring to. If a variable is not really defined yet, then it would create the variable and have it pointing to the value. The other thing which would also happen is evaluation of expressions. So if in assignment on the right hand side I have an expression, then you would see that the expression is evaluated and the variable starts referring to the value of the expression. The other thing which we learned is that on the left hand side of an expression, you should always have variables. You cannot assign 5 is equal to j, because 5 is not a variable, it's a literal. Okay, there you go. These are some of the things which we learned in this video. Until the next step, bye bye.